Hey guys, so let me make sure that my Wi-Fi is turned off here. There we go. This is a little bit of a different story today. A little bit of a different video, actually. I am making a different video today for a very good reason. Some of you may be surprised when I'm finished this story. It's not a story time necessarily. Hold on, let me get my glasses because I see a couple of you guys hopping on. And I just want to give you some love and respect before I hop into my topic because this is an impromptu video. And the reason why it's an impromptu video is because I was prompted to do it. Whew. This is hard for me to even talk about, actually. Hey, Benny. Oh, thank you. Happy birthday to me. Someone's looking beautiful today. Thank you, David Rich. I got on a Louis. Everyone keeps telling me that I look good today. Gee. Like a lot of people have said that to me. I don't know if it's the new color of lipstick. Maybe that's what it is. Let me see. Guys, I have something to tell you. Oh, DR, I love you. Oh, sounds like a serious video. You know me, baby. You know me, baby. Sweetheart, you know me. It is a serious video. So, I'm here right now at an Italian restaurant across from Flip Flop, and usually, I would do a live to air at Flip Flop, and because I love when people come up behind me and talk to me as I'm doing my videos, and everyone say hi to me and say hello to you guys and everything. You guys know, but when I'm like coming, like going away from the noise. I don't want to say noise because it's not really noise over there. Love, when I'm going away from the love boat. When I'm going away from all that love and I'm coming over to be very quiet, it's for a reason. And I think this is actually the first live to air I've ever done at this restaurant. And I come to this restaurant often. I'll just show you guys where I'm at right now. It's a great Italian restaurant. That's like the top portion up at the top, and then right across. I don't want to show anyone on camera, but right over there is Flip Flop. You see the yellow brick stairs over there, and I'm sitting with my motoconcho Eddie. Hola para mi gentes. All right, so I just wanted to share with you guys something. The reason why is because let me see. I got a couple other messages coming on there. Hey, yoga. Oh, happy universe, yoga. LJ, hey, I love you, baby. How you doing, LJ? And then you looking soul glowish. It says yoga. Happy universe. We're not called a universe any longer. We're called a metaverse now. I'll get more into that on another video. But today, I just wanted to hop on and just... I can't even believe I'm sharing this with you guys. But the reason why I am is for a few reasons. All right, for those of you who are just tuning in, you don't know who I am. My name is Cerise, and I live here in the north coast of the Dominican Republic. I live in a little neighborhood called Los Charamicos, and a municipal called Sosua, and a province called Puerto Plata, in a country called the Dominican Republic, as I just said. So sometimes I do story times and I do all kinds of random videos. What I do is I share my life with you, whatever I'm doing here. And the reason why I share a whole bunch of different things, whether I'm doing a review at a restaurant or if I'm just hanging out with my buddies or just explaining something to you about relocating, I love to share with you. And the reason why is because I can't just pick one topic to share with you here, right? But today, yesterday, more or less, I was on my Facebook. So I got kicked off Facebook because I'm a very expressive person, and Facebook blocked me for 7 days because I was expressing some views. Nothing negative. I don't call out people or put anyone down or anything of that nature. It's just all of a sudden they've become a utopia, perfect universe on Facebook, and you're not allowed to express yourself any longer. And I get that because it's not my house. I don't own that platform. It's not my network. I didn't create it. It was created from the people who own it. So anyway, I was kicked off on it. So I haven't been on it. I was kicked off like the day before Christmas from posting. So clearly now I'm checking my inbox, which I usually don't check my inbox on Facebook. The reason why is because I always get a whole bunch of like junk mail from a lot of people. They're telling me to, add them so I can get like a free iPhone or whatever, right? It's always like about coupons and all this other stuff about, I forget what it's called, like chain letters. If you like me, then you'll like this post and send it to 7 other people. And so for good luck. And I don't believe in all that stuff. So I usually don't check my inboxes, but because I'm not allowed to go on my posts, I'm like, well, let me check my inbox, So I check my inbox and there's a message from this dude. And he's like, you're not the woman I thought you were. And of course, I'm reading the message now and I'm like, what? My heart starts beating a little quickly. And I'm like, who's this guy? Not beating quickly positively, but beating quickly is in curiosity. And I open up like the message and it's like a Haitian dude, nothing against Haitians. It's just happened to be a Haitian guy and he owns a restaurant on the beach here in Playa Sosua. And he says to me, you're not the woman I thought you were. I've been contacting you over and over again and you keep ignoring me. And I'm like, please, brother. After I read that, I'm like, please, you don't even know how many people I do not respond to on Facebook. I even put a message out on Facebook a couple of months ago, maybe a month and a half ago, saying, do not private message me on Facebook. I don't check Facebook Messenger. Contact me on WhatsApp, right? So if you just happen to be hearing this for the first time and you've been following me for a while and, checking up on me and I've never answered your message, can you guys hear across the street? Welcome to Flip Flop. Anyway, I digress. I don't check my messages on Messenger on Facebook. So I got back to this guy and I was like, hey, I apologize, like I haven't been checking my messages. So he gets back to me and he's like, okay, well, where can I contact you? So I gave him my number, right? Because I give everyone my number right here, everywhere, all over the world. Gave him my number and I said, you can message me on WhatsApp. So immediately he messages me on WhatsApp and he's like, hi, here I am. I have a restaurant on the beach. And then he starts talking to me about being Haitian and how difficult it is for him. And I understand that flex because not that I'm Haitian, but I do have a lot of Haitian neighbors. And I really do go to bat for a lot of people here that are Haitian and also Dominican. So I understood his flex and I understood what he was saying and that was it. But red flag started. And that's where the story begins now. Not about him, but about red flags. And the reason why I'm even opening up right now about this story that I went through about 30, no. My daughter's 31 right now and she was 3 at the time, right? Maybe 2 at the time. 28 years ago, okay? So this guy had red flags that really concerned me. Not the guy 28 years ago. I wish I focused on the red flags back then. But the guy yesterday, he's like, you make me feel bad because you've been ignoring me. And he's right. I've been looking at all the messages from Facebook and he's been leaving me messages for months upon months and they look like they're opened, but I just haven't been messaging him back. In any case, here goes the story. So I was like 17, 18, 19, 20 years old. My daughter was like 2.5, okay? 2 years old. I don't know. I had my daughter when I was 17. A month later, I turned 18. So teenager, right? My dad died when I was 6 months pregnant. And careful of the table. Gracias. Dos platos. Sí, dos platos, por favor. Y Por favor, este is, it shakes very easily. La mesa. Sorry, guys. Hold on one second. We just ordered a pizza. Let me show you the pizza before I get into the story. Hold on. You guys are like, Cerise, just get into the story. We can see the pizza later. Here's the pizza. But I ordered it because I wanted to make sure that I respected my motoconcho and gave him a little bite to eat before. Hold on. I wanted to give him a little bite to eat at least. Gracias, amor. Sí. Ah, tengo. Gracias. Okay, now we're good. Cuídate, por favor, con la mesa. La mesa is rocky, and I don't want the feed to get bad. So, this is what happened. I got pregnant at a very young age. And my dad was very upset. My dad said to me, Cerise, you know what? You need to focus on your education and you're pregnant. I'm not cool with that, you know? And I was like, well, sorry, Dad. And teenage pregnancy was very common back in the day. I'm 50 years old. And at this point, it just was kicking in, just becoming something that was common. My dad wasn't cool with it. And, you know, he was like, all right. Well, it is what it is, because I wasn't the type of girl that slept around. I wasn't the type of kid that disappointed my parents. I was a very studious young lady, focused on my studies and everything. He was surprised that I was even intimate with anyone, because before that, I would, like, you know, have little boyfriends and everything that I would talk to on the phone. They would call the house. This was before cell phones. They would call the house and everything like that. And he would be like, who do you want? Who do you want to speak to? No, Cerise is not available. Bam. And he'd hang up the phone. And then one day, this guy contacted me. Now, I'm going to say his nickname here, but I'm not going to say his real name here. Okay? Because a lot of people from where I'm from in Canada know this guy, and they might not know this story, but they will know this guy, and I really don't want to call him out. He's actually known more by his nickname than he is his real name. So, in any case, breathe. So, what happened was, when I was 15, right? I was dating this guy named Jojo. And he used to skateboard, you know. He was from Nova Scotia, you know, and in Nova Scotia, where my family's from, you know, a lot of us. Anyway, I don't want to get into that. So he was a dark-skinned brother with a cute box cut, you know, box cuts back in the day, and he always had his skateboard. Right? He didn't wear jewelry, never had his ears pierced or anything like that. Just always had his skateboard, and he skateboarded like nobody else's business. And I liked him, you know, and he liked me. And so I said to my dad, I was like, Dad, I'm going to bring a guy home. His name is Jojo. And my dad's like, all right, bring him around. I want to see him, because we had that family, right? So I brought him around, and my dad met him once, and my dad was like, no, don't bring him back. And I don't want you around him. And he saw Jojo on the street days after that. And he said to Jojo, I don't want you around my daughter. Do not date my daughter. Careful, cuídate de la mesa. And he said, I don't want you to date my daughter. And so Jojo came up to me at the community center after a few days. And he said to me, your dad told me that I'm not allowed to date you. And I was like, what? Like, oh, I was so upset. I was so angry. And I went back home, and I marched back home. And I was like, Daddy, like, why did you say that to Jojo? And he's like, he's not a good guy. He's not a man that studies. He's not a man that's going to be able to ever pay for anything in your future. I don't want him around you. And I'm like, because he has a skateboard? And he's like, no, not because he has a skateboard, because I can tell that he's not a good, he's not going to be able to be there for you properly. Now, remember, I was 15 at the time. So I said, all right. And I accepted whatever my dad told me to do. Fast forward, I met my daughter's father, and he was a cool dude, a good man. But, you know, again, teenage pregnancy was, popular back then. And he was 5 years older than me. My daughter's father was 5 years older than me. And, we got pregnant, and my dad died as I was pregnant. My dad was like, I'm not happy that you're pregnant. I'm actually upset that you're pregnant, but obviously. And he's like, but I want you to finish your studies. And then my dad went to Montreal for the weekend with my mom and my brother-in-law and my sister. And he died that weekend as I was pregnant. I was 6.5 months pregnant. And my world changed big time. And, I was only 17. And then I had my daughter, and she's beautiful and she's intelligent till this day. She's so bright. So anyway, what happened was I had my daughter, and then I went back to school, but then there was a break, okay, like summer break. And I was about to go to college, right? Because I was 17 when I had my daughter. So I had to finish high school. And then I took like a year to find myself, so to speak. And then I was living on my own. I moved out of my parents' home. My dad passed on. My mom, she was not a single mom, but, well, yeah, she was a single mom, a widowed mother, right? And I was now a mother. So I moved out on my own. And so here I am living on my own, 18 years old. And then I'm trying to think of the months. Hold on. This is all impromptu, this video. So I had my daughter when I was 17. A month later, I turned 18, and she was 2 years old. So I was like going to college at this time. I was like 17. I was like 20. I don't know, 21, right? Because I had to finish high school and everything before that. So I was like 21. So then what happened was I met Jojo again. And I was walking down the street, and he was on his skateboard, and he came up to me and he's like, hey. And I was like, hey. I broke up with my daughter's father. He cheated on me. So that's a whole other story. I need to start doing these stories a lot more, these personal stories. So in any case, he cheated on me, and I was just like, I'm not dealing with that, So here I am, a single mom at a very young age. I'm walking down the street with my daughter, and I'm have her in the stroller. I'm on my way to my mom's house, and then he says to me, hi, Cerise, I haven't seen you in a while. And I'm like, oh my gosh, hi, Jojo. And then I remembered how much he liked me when I was 15. And he gave me a look of love. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I hadn't seen that look in so long. And here I am, a single mom now. And he's like, you have a child? And I'm like, yeah, this is my daughter. And he's like, I heard you had a kid, as we come from the same neighborhood. And then he's like, why don't you, like, meet me at the park, and like we can sit down and talk and everything, right? This was before cell phones. And I was like, okay. So I was like, what day? Like when? And so we met at the park. Then when we got to the park, we started to chit chat back and forth. And, it was like May, I would say, like June, when school was on a break, right? And then I said to him, well, it's getting cold. Do you want to come back to my place? And he's like, you have a place? And I'm like, yeah, I live alone. I live with my daughter. And he's like, okay, well, sure. And I said, hold on, let me drop my daughter off at my mom's place so my mom can babysit, because I didn't want this man around my daughter at my apartment. Even though she was so young and she wouldn't have known, I still didn't want to have that mix up, So I took my daughter to my mom's house, and then him and I walked back to my apartment. And he was like, wow, this is a nice apartment. It was a nice 2-bedroom apartment. I had it furnished nicely. It was cute. Looking back on it, I had myself together for a woman at a young age and a single mom, And then We ended up chilling that night. Now, when I was 15, we were not intimate. We maybe kissed on the lips a couple of times, right? Um, I was always a very shy young lady, always very shy. I don't even know how I actually got pregnant at a young age because that was probably impossible. That was like Mother Teresa situation, right? Like seriously, and I'm still like that till this day. I don't sleep around or anything like that, and there's nothing wrong with that. If someone is promiscuous, I'm not putting anyone down for that. It's just that my parents raised me in a way where I don't know, it just kind of made me insecure. It kind of made me like very careful when it came to sleeping around. And again, I don't knock anyone for being sexual in that way, but I just was warned against that as a child. So, hold on, let me see if I can put this. Um, Hold on one second. Where's my glasses? I think I can put the sorry guys, I'm looking for the flash and I'm not able to find it. That's all right. I don't want to make this story too long anyway. So what happened was um actually I do want to make sure I have the flash on. Hold on. Eddie, ¿dónde mi flash? Mi... Oh, aquí? Posible aquí? You know what? I'm not going to mess with anything. Let me just keep talking. So, what happened was it, I dropped off my daughter, and then we chilled out for a while. We were at my apartment. We started to reacquaint ourselves, and we kissed, and that was it. The next time we kissed, and we started to get to know each other very well. And after a while, we were intimate. And then I was like, oh my gosh, okay, now this is it. My feelings are kind of attached to intercourse. And so that was it. We were together. So now, this was like at the end of school, right? Now, school was coming back up in September. Now, during the whole school season, like holiday season, I was chill. I was good. I was like on holidays, but he wasn't. Hold on, I need to find this flash. Can't believe I'm not remembering. ¿Tu gusta tu pizza? Luz. Luz, yo necesito flash. ¿Dónde? Por favor. Guys, I don't know where my flash is. I'm so sorry. Ben, mi flash, mi... ¿Tú entiendes? Luz. Para mí, cuando tú tomas foto, sí. Aquí, ¿dónde? Este es flashlight. No. No trabajo. Hold on, guys. No sé. ¿Por qué no? No. Aquí no. Okay, it's okay. Si yo necesito... it's dark aquí. ¿Dónde mi otro celular? Hold on, guys. I'm going to find my flashlight here. Why can't I find my flash? Hold on. If anything, I'll just put this here. Ah, there we go. And then when he had light, hold on. Um, that doesn't really help because that means I would have to have someone hold it for me. Okay. So I just need to hurry up and tell the story. That's what a lot of you guys are saying right now. But I can't. I can't focus. Hold on one second. Okay, let me just tell the story. So now what happened was him and I were dating, we're chilling out, and we get into like September. September comes. And then in September, I'm like, this guy chilled with me all summer long. This guy did not work. This guy wasn't even talking about school, and now school is coming. And I'm like, I can't have him here. If he was working and if he was doing something to help me out and everything like that, then I might have been able to keep him around. But he was just chilling with me every day. And my mom said to me, because my mom knew by this point that I was dating him, and she's like, Cerise, you know that your dad didn't like him. And, he's not working. Like, why do you have him around you as much? Like, you have to go to school, you have to continue your education, you're in college, you're doing very well. This man, he's still skateboarding, and by the way, he was like 3 years older than me. So she's like, he's still skateboarding. And I was like, I know, Mom, I know, but he's nice. And she's like, sweetheart, you're going to meet a lot of nice men in your life. But just dating a dude because he's nice does not make sense. You have to, and I'm like, but we're compatible. And she's like, yes, I understand that, but you're going to meet a lot of men in your life that you're compatible with. She's like, please do me a favor. Just tell him that you're going to be friends and, play it by ear. Tell him to go get a job. Tell him to go to school. It's never too late for him to go to school either. And I was like, but Mom, I really like him. And she's like, I know you like him, sweetheart, but if you're going to school and you're, working in the future for your daughter, like, he can't ride his skateboard forever. And I was like, I know. And then, I said to him, and this is where it got really crazy. So we're laying in bed, and it was like maybe about like the September, like about 3 weeks before school started. 2 weeks before school started. And I was laying in bed, and I said to him, Nolisha was at my daughter. I didn't want to say her name, but in any case, she was at my mom's house. And my mom had her for the weekend. Every weekend, my mom would keep her. And this was a Sunday. And now Sundays, my mom would drop her off at my apartment at around 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And on that Sunday, I would clean my house, and I would cook, and I would get ready for my daughter to be brought home. Well, on this particular Sunday, I woke up in the morning because I knew I needed to get myself together for the coming weeks for school. So I looked at Jojo, and we're laying in bed. And I looked at him, and at this moment, I was like ready to cut it off with him because I knew I had to. At this point, too, I could tell that he wasn't focused on the future. He was only focused on day by day. So I looked at him, and then I was like, And I said to him, Jojo, I'm going back to school, coming up really soon. And so I really can't focus on a relationship right now. I have to focus on school. And so he was quiet, and both of us are laying down. And by this point, I'm laying down, and I'm looking up at the ceiling, and he's looking up at the ceiling, and he's quiet. And he says, so what does that mean? And I said, well, it means that we really can't be together. And then he said, you mean we're going to break up? And I was like, yeah, but we can still be friends. And then he turned around with, like, he said, so we're not going to be together. And I'm like, no, but again, we can still be friends. Took his fist like this, flat fist, without any like indication. I didn't even know. We were both laying there in bed, and all of a sudden I felt boom. And so if you look closely at my forehead, you might see like a little dent right there. He punched me so hard in my forehead, and I've never been punched before by a man. You know, he punched me so hard in my forehead that right away I went like, boom, in the pillow. And I was like, and I literally saw stars. You know, when you see stars, like I literally saw stars. And I knew to be calm. I don't know how, but God spoke to my heart because my mom always told me when you're around a violent man, don't run your mouth off. You know, my mom always taught me this. And so I was like, whoa, whoa. And I went, and then he jumped up out of the bed. And then I moved over on the bed and I had like a mirror beside my bed. And I looked in the mirror and I could see blood right away. I wasn't a goose egg yet, but there was blood, right? And I was like, whoa, I had never seen blood on my face before this. So I jumped up and I ran into the bathroom. When I ran into the bathroom, he came into the bathroom with me. And then he said, he looked and right away a goose egg started to come out. It just started to spread. I saw this goose egg spreading in front of my eyes as I was looking in the mirror. I saw it coming across and I looked and I was like, oh my gosh. And I didn't say it out loud because I didn't want to make him panic because I didn't know if he was going to kill me. And this was like the real deal Holyfield. Like I don't even know how I felt this way, like how I knew this, you know? So he's like, oh no, I'm sorry. And then so I started to wipe the blood away with like some toilet paper and water. And I was like clued out completely. And I'm wiping the blood away. And then he's looking at me and he's like, I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry, baby. And I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. It's all right. And he's like, oh no. And I'm like, it's okay. It's going to be all right. Right. And he's like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Don't worry about it. And I wiped the blood away and there was a huge goose egg. And at this moment, I'm like, how am I going to get out of my apartment right now, right here, and get rid of this man? I lived on the 16th floor in an apartment building. And it was a Sunday. And my mom wasn't going to be dropping my daughter off until the evening, like the late afternoon. So I just looked at him. And I was like, hold on, guys. I need to find where the light is because I honestly can't even see you guys. Hold on. This was a long time ago, Jay Smith. I'm talking about like many, many years ago. Please. You guys don't like get too upset right here, right now. I'm only talking about this because I want to share my experiences. Hold on, let me find this light. I only want to share my experiences. Like, I only want to share my experiences. So please, you guys don't get too like, am I okay or anything? Of course I'm okay. This happened like when I was very, very young. Here we go. Enable flash. I don't know. Flash is not really showing. But in any case, what happened was after he hit me, I was like, what the heck? I don't know. Guys, I don't want to get too fancy here right now. Hold on. So after he hit me and the blood started to show and the goosebumps started to show, I was like, I need to get away from this man. And I didn't know how I was going to get away from him. So he looks at me and he's like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, it's okay. And he's like, you know, he tried to wipe the blood away because it broke skin, right? It wasn't split so bad that I needed stitches, but it was split. So then we went into the living room and I was trying to figure out how I'm going to get rid of this mofo out of my apartment. And I didn't know how I was going to get rid of him. And Hold on. I'm so sorry that like this is the pivotal moment and I'm like messing with this camera. Hold on. There we go. Now I'm comfortable. So we went into the living room. How did I get rid of him? This is how I got rid of him. We go into the living room and we're sitting down. My head is throbbing, 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 and it's only him and me. And I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to get rid of this goof? How am I supposed to get rid of this mofo, this mother effer out of my apartment? How dare him do? And then at the time, I'm thinking about my dad. My dad is dead. And I'm thinking, okay, you know what? Because my dad would have tore him apart. My dad's a Rastaman vibration type of guy. My dad would tore that man up, right? But I was thinking, okay, how am I supposed to get rid of him? All of a sudden, I heard a knock at my door. And I'm like, oh my gosh, my mom's bringing home my daughter early. Thank God, you know. So I go to the door and it's his brother. And I open the door and his brother looks at me and he could see the goose egg. And his brother's like, oh, Cerise, are you okay? And I look at his brother like with wide doe eyes as if to say, I need help. And his brother just kind of looked down and said, Jojo. And then went into my apartment, and then said to his brother something. And I don't even remember. And I was waiting for his brother to like grab me by the arm, take me out in the hallway, yell at Jojo and say, why did you do this to Cerise? But he didn't. He left. But I'm not surprised because this man smashed out his girlfriend's teeth at one point too. You know, like another woman beater. So I was like, oh my gosh. And at the same time, I've, had a friend before that said to me, well, why didn't you just run down the hall and go scream for help? Because it was a quiet building and I was afraid that no one would open the doors in the other apartments. And it was a Sunday. I didn't know who was home. And not only that, I was afraid they would both collaborate and hurt me. So after his brother left, I sat down and I said, God, what am I going to do? I have to wait till 4 o'clock in the afternoon to get this man out my house. Now, the blood stopped bleeding. The blood stopped running. The goose egg stopped growing. It was huge, but it stopped growing. My head was still thumping. But at the same time, I thought to myself, I want this guy out of my house. I don't even want him around me. I don't even want him near me, even touching me any longer. He was touching me. He kept touching me. He kept saying to me, I'm sorry, baby, and kissing me. And oh, inside of me, everything was crawling. And all I could do was pray to my dead father. And I'm like, Daddy, 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 I'm sorry. Help me, help me, help me. And I'm just praying to my dad who's dead and no one could help me. So, and I knew I couldn't pick up the phone at the time and call my mom because I knew my life was in danger. This guy was unpredictable. Now, maybe I could have picked up the phone and asked for my mom to come, but at the same time, I was afraid that he'd kill me before my mom came. And like stuff me somewhere. I don't know. I never experienced being beat before. You know what I mean? So obviously I was really on high alert. So then I said, okay, I'm going to call 911. I'm going to call 911. And back in those days, we had phones in Canada called Maestros. And those are like phones where on on number 1, there were no numbers. But on number 2, it was like ABC. On 3, there was DEF. And on 4, there's like 3 letters for each digit of the phone number. Of the phone, like each digit for each number. 3 letters for each digit. That's how it was. And so I said to him, I need to call for my daughter's Starbucks. Now, there's something in Canada called Starboxes. Starboxes are what the Star newspaper brings out to people for single parents, young moms and everything like that, or parents on welfare, stuff like that. And the Star newspaper got donations and charity, and they would send out Star boxes. And in a Star box, you would get like a scarf, you would get candy cane, you would get a book, you would get a toy, stuff like this. And so I said to him I had to order the Starbucks. And it was September, and so I told him and he knew what a Starbucks was because he came from the same hood. So I looked at him and I was like, Jojo, I need to order a Starbucks. And he's like, okay, baby, go ahead. He's sitting on the love seat. I'm sitting on the couch. No, I'm sitting on the love seat. He's laying on the couch, laid up in my apartment on the couch watching TV, thinking I forgave his ass. Please. And here I am with a swollen forehead and dried blood. And I'm trying to figure out how to get his ass out my apartment. So I called 911. And when I called 911, I'm watching him to make sure that he is not watching how many numbers I'm dialing. So I dialed 911 and then pretended I dialed a few numbers after that, right? Like a few digits after that. 911 comes on the phone. 911's like, hi, what's your emergency? And I'm like, hi, my name is Cerisefairfax, and I'm calling about the Starbucks. And the officer says, oh, sorry, you have the wrong number. And I said, no, I don't. And I'm calm, cool as dirt. And the officer said, okay, what's your emergency? Do you have an emergency? And I said, yes, I do. And he's like, okay, are you hurt? And I said, yes, I am. Yes. And he said, okay, what's going on? Are you shot? No. Are you stabbed? No. Okay. Someone hurt you? Yes. Yes. And I'm like smiling and, trying to keep the energy in the room really cool so he doesn't notice. And they said, is this a domestic dispute? And I said, yeah. And he said, hold on 1 second. I'm going to transfer your call. And he transferred my call to a female officer. The female officer came on the phone and she said, hi, how may I help you? And I said, hi, my name is Cerisefairfax. And she's like, are you in trouble right now? I'm like, yes. She said, are you hurt? Yes. And then she repeated the questions. And then she said, is he there with you right now? Is the person who hurt you there with you right now? And I said, yes. They said, does he have a weapon? She said, does he have a weapon? I said, no. She said, did he use a weapon on you? No. She said, his hands? And I said, yes. She said, did he slap you or punch you? And I said, yes. And she said, punch you? I said, yes. Then she said, where are you hurt? And what was I supposed to say? My head? He would hear that. So then she's like, I'm going to name a few of your body parts. And then you tell me, you say yes when I hit that body part. Like when I get to that body part. She said, your feet. I said nothing. She said, your calves. And she went all the way up. And she said, your head. And I said, yep. Yes. And she said, okay. And she said, are you bleeding? And I said, I was. And she said, okay. And at that point, when I said I was like, that's like not what you say to someone that you're talking to the Starbucks is about. And he looked at me and I looked at him because it was out of context. And I looked at him and I smiled and I blew him a kiss, and he felt cool. He's like, and then he looks back at the TV, turning the channels as he's sitting on my couch. So then she's like, okay, we're sending the police. Don't worry. She's like, does he have a weapon? And I'm like, no. She said, does he have a criminal record? And I said, yes. He did have a criminal record. He was a person that used to take shock plugs out of a car, not while I was with him, before I was with him, years before I was with him. And he used to take shock plugs out of a car, smash the shock plug down on the ground, and take the white part from the shock plug and throw it into a window of a car and smash a car. And apparently it makes no noise, and he would like rob cars. He told me this when I was with him, like for that short stint after my dad had died, but during those few months. And I was like, oh my gosh. And even in my head, I'm like, what am I doing with a guy like this? Like, what am I doing with a guy like this? He's a criminal. Like, my parents didn't raise me like this, So this story is more for you women that I just want to digress for a second. young girls, if your parents tell you don't date someone, they usually have that sixth sense that you don't have. And if a guy tells you something that does not sound right, leave him immediately. That's a red flag. Don't wait around, because if he's hurting other people, he's going to hurt you eventually. And I'm sorry if you are a person that is a criminal, or you are like top notch mafioso or whatever, and if you have a bad temper, you need to take it easy on your woman, like straight up. So anyway, and I'm teaching you women as well, like don't get involved in this crap. And you can look at me these days, I'm a very independent woman. Anyway, let me go back to my story. So she's like, you have a criminal record? And I'm like, yes. And she's like, okay. She's like, listen, he doesn't have a weapon. I need to know what we're dealing with. Can you tell me his name? There was no way I was going to say his name in front of him, right? There was no way I could say, bring 3 Starbucks, one for my daughter, one for me, and one for this guy sitting over here named Joseph, whatever. I don't want to say his real name because many years has passed, but his nickname was Jojo. So she's like, can you say his name? And I'm like, no. But I looked down at the keypad of the Maestro phone, and I spelled out Joseph by saying, it's the, I don't know, 4th letter on the number 5 or whatever. I spelled out his first and last name by doing this. I'm like, it's the 3rd letter on 3. It's the 5th letter on 6. It's the 7th letter on 8. Like, and I'm looking down, and he didn't even clue in. I don't know, understand how not, but I'll never forget this story. And then she said his name out, Joseph, blah, blah, blah. And I said, yes. And tears came to my eyes. I went, like I had to hold it back because I was about to lose it. This woman got his first name and his last name, and now I knew if he killed me, I was going to be all right. I knew at least if I'm dead, they know who did it. You know what I'm saying? And the whole story was out. She knew my head was hurt. She knew he did it, and she had his name. And at this point, and then he looked at me, and then I said, I'm so happy. I looked at him and I'm like, I'm so happy they approved me for the Starbucks. Like that. And he was like, oh, okay. And he looked back at the TV. And then in my head, I'm like, mofo, mother effer, you are not going to be turning these channels for very much longer. You're going to be out of my apartment. And then I'm like, I'm hyperventilating, but keeping it down. And my headache started to hurt so much more. I just felt like this whole lump on my forehead was growing a mile a minute. And at the same time, I felt like it was going to just burst. But at the same time, I was happy. She had the name. She said, sweetheart, don't worry. We're on our way. We'll be there in a few minutes. And it felt like hours, but it wasn't hours. And then the police showed up. When they knocked on the door, he went to the door because they gave that police knock. Even that is just such a shame. Police knock like that, and I understand why they have to, but man, ugh. So they gave that police knock. Now, when the police knocked on the door, he got up and he ran to the door and he looked through the peek hole, the criminal he is. And he looked through the peek hole, and I'm standing behind him because I'm like, if he's going to knock me out again, at least he's going to knock me out while the police are here. Well, not again. He didn't knock me out the first time, but I was like, if he's going to hit me again, at least I know the police will shoot this door down. So he looks out the peek hole, and then he pulls back and he steps and he looks at me. And at this point, you can tell he's confused, right? Because he's thinking in his head, did his brother call the police? Because I was a really good young lady. I came from a good family, and, yes, I came from the hood, but I came from a good mom and a good dad. And so, of course, his brother was the type of person that might just call the police to help me, And his brother did leave right away when his brother did come earlier, right? When his brother was in the house earlier, his brother did say goodbye really quickly. His brother said goodbye really quickly because he didn't want to have anything to do with it. But Jojo was thinking, oh my gosh. And Jojo looked at me because he's thinking, I didn't pick up the phone. I only picked up the phone to order the Starbucks, right? And I played it off so well. So anyway, he looks through the peek hole and then he pulls back and he looks at me and I look at him and I'm like, what? And then I look through the peek hole and I see it's the police. And I'm like, oh. And I open up the door, and as soon as I open up that bad boy, I said, here he is. Just like that, I knew I was saved. I was like, here he is. And JoJo's jaw dropped. He looked at me and went, oh, and he was so surprised. And I was like, I felt like all I could do was just cry, cry, cry. And at that moment, the police officers, they looked at me and they could see the lump on my forehead and the little bit of dried blood right there. And they were like, they took him into the living room and they took me into the bedroom. And they asked me everything, and I told the officer everything. I'm like, listen, my dad told me not to date him, blah, blah, blah. And I gave him the whole entire story. And, you know, the officer's like, okay, let's go out into the living room. After about maybe 20 minutes of talking to the officer, we went out into the living room, and the other officer was with JoJo. And then the officer that I was with looked at the officer in the living room and said, so what's up? Like, what did he say to you? And the officer in the living room said, oh, nothing. He just told me they had an argument. And then the officer that was with me in the bedroom looked at JoJo and said, well, you're under arrest. And then he looked at his partner and he said, we're taking him down to the station. We're booking him. And he got arrested and he was in jail for 3 months. When he got out, he tried to come and get back with me. He tried to be my man, you know, be with me and everything like that. But I always made sure I had someone with me for a good entire year, a good year, you know, and I never had anyone else around me. Like I always had my family around me. I always had my friends around me, and I was never alone. For a good year, I would never walk on the streets alone, and I was really upset, really scared. When he was in jail for 3 months, I felt safe. You know, I knew he was in jail, but I knew he was getting out. And you know, they told me, the police officers contacted me and told me, and they're like, we just want to let you know, and it's not natural protocol for them to do that, not in Canada. And they said to me, you know, I just want you to know he's going to be getting out. And at this time, I was in school. I went back. I was in school doing my thing, you know, and I just made sure that I was always sleeping at my mom's house, or my mom was dropping me off at home in the car. I would, you know, go upstairs to my apartment. Everyone always helped me out. Everyone made sure they were always with me. They come upstairs in the elevator with me. I was never alone. And, you know, and then I was always with my friend Nicole as well. Shouts out to Nicole, who lived in the same building as me. I'll never forget it. You know, her and I became best friends at that time. You know, God bless me with a best friend at that time, because I was always a lone ranger then, and I'm still a lone ranger now. I'm always usually alone, right? But at that time in my life, I did have a really best girlfriend. And I think, you know, if you are a young girl and you are with a man that has hurt you, or if you experience anything, please watch the red flags. Don't ever feel like, oh my gosh, you know, I made this guy feel bad. No, don't take responsibility for somebody else's emotions or somebody else's actions. He should not have hit me. That day I will never forget about. And that day till now, I still, like, even though the lump went down over years, now as I am growing, I don't know if I get closer to the camera, I don't know if you guys can see a little split there. And I'll never forget. And you know what? I'll say this straight up too. You know, I never dated another man like him until I moved here. I moved here, and I guess it was because of the language barrier and the culture barrier. I got involved with another abusive man. And he knows who he is, and a lot of you guys know who he is. A lot of you guys watching this video, and I'm pretty sure he's going to watch this video too, and he doesn't even know this story that I just told you guys. But I also had to call the police on him when I was here a couple of times, and he stole from me, took from me, took the chain off my dog's neck, a beautiful vintage chain that I had, took a watch that I had for my son that I bought here, took necklaces that were in my apartment, perfumes, rings, money when I first got here. And don't you guys say his name, because I don't want to call him out or anything like that. He knows. He knows. And we're not enemies right now. And I have to forgive him in order for me to live a normal life. Because when that happened, it was before my son was born. I have two children. My daughter's 31 and my son is 26. And at this moment, it was even before my son was born, even before I finished college and everything, when the first thing happened. So when I moved here, I was like reliving my life again. I was reestablishing who I am. And therefore, I wasn't really, open to just dating anyone. But this guy, he embraced me and took me under his wing as we were here. And he spoke the language and he helped me initially. But as he was helping me, he was helping himself to my stuff. And that's not right. That's not cool. And it's very hard for me sometimes to forgive him. Sometimes I'm in the shower and sometimes I'm like, oh God, help me forgive him. It's very difficult for me to forgive him. About a month ago, I had a couple of drinks and, I was intoxicated, and there was someone that needed a cook at their restaurant. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know, I wanted to help both people. I knew this person at the restaurant would get a good cook because my ex is a good cook. And then I also knew my ex needed a job. So I put aside my own anger and everything, and I contacted my ex and I said to him, listen, I forgive you. I know what you did. And it was my first time ever like really confronting him head to head, like really saying to him, I know you stole this, I know you stole that. Before, I was just really angry about it and I would just accuse him. But now I told him, I said, I know you took it, because there is a little bit of video footage of it, and I admitted it to him. I'm like, but you know what, I forgive you, because these are material things and I cannot keep this on my heart and allow it to hold me down like a weight in the water. These are material things and I have to let go of that. So I said to him, I forgive you, and it's something that I'm still needing to learn, but he did do the same thing. He did hit me. He did hit me while I was here. One of my first couple of years here, 3.5 years ago. He did. He hit me in my forehead with a shoe in the same area as this guy did. Hit me in my forehead with a shoe. You know what I had to do? Pretend I fainted. I pretended that I fainted. I fell to the ground and pretended that I stopped breathing. You know what this man did? Step over me and rummaged my drawers. He rummaged my dresser drawers looking for stuff. And I opened up one eye as I was laying on the floor, looked up to see what he was doing. He was looking for money and he was looking for jewelry. He didn't know if I was dead or alive. So I want to say to you young girls out there, you young men out there, you people out there, whether you're young or even if you're old and you've been dealing with this stuff, I've gone through it twice in my life. Don't do it. Don't put up with it. These people you have to kick to the curb like basura, like garbage. Don't be afraid to call the police on them. I called the police on him, and I won't block him. He's blocked me a few times, the one here. He's blocked me a few times because he knows what he's done wrong. And he'll probably see this video and he'll see that I'm running my mouth off again. And I have ran my mouth off a couple of times before this. If I have really good police officers on my side here and I have really good neighbors in Los Charamicos, this man cannot come on my stomping grounds at all. Because as soon as he shows his face on my street, they will know who he is. And there's no reason for him to even be in my area. Okay? That's how tight my family is now here in Los Charamicos. But in any case, I don't want to get negative with that because that was years ago here. And I don't know how I got involved in that abusiveness again, but sometimes we will slip into that and we may not know how and we may not know why, but it's going to happen. So I'm just saying to you people that are experiencing it, look out for the red flags. Okay, nosotros vamos ahora. Look out for the red flags, please. Don't allow anyone to take advantage of you physically, mentally, spiritually, financially. Never allow anyone to do anything to you. Stick up for yourself. Stand your ground. Don't stay in something too long. You will know when it's wrong because your spirit will tell you that it is not right. Your spirit will tell you that something is off. You don't need someone to disrespect you. We as human beings are hard on ourselves. We don't need someone to add to that. We need someone to ease that, you know? Ease our mind, you know? And that's that. So I just want to say that, you know, I had those red flags from someone like just yesterday, like I said, and I'm not going to take that on again. This happened years ago, guys. Anyone tuning in right now, I'm talking about stuff from years ago. I'm talking about stuff that happened before, not right now, and it's not going to happen again. All I'm saying is, I'm saying this story for you young people, or you, not even young, for you people that are here and you're experiencing it and someone has hurt you, harmed you. Reach out. Don't be afraid to call the police. Don't be afraid. Contact me. I have all types of police officers here that will have your back. And you can private message them on WhatsApp. You don't have to call the police station. You contact them on their private WhatsApp. Okay? That's how they do it here. Femicide is very, very looked upon here in a bad, bad way. It's frowned upon here. Femicide is a big thing here. They are not for the men, they are for the women here. The women have hands down, and you may hear some stories or whatever, but the women are number one here, especially when it comes to abusive relationships. Okay, so I just want to say, if you're going through something, not even in the Dominican Republic, but just wherever you are and you're listening to this, Canada, America, Africa, Italy, France, China, Jamaica, I'm just trying to think of all the countries off the top of my head where I have clients from that want to relocate here and have and leave me messages. You know, I just want to say, no matter where you are around the world, you have God. God is everywhere. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. And you can stand strong, and you can be strong within yourself. Even if you have no one, you can still make it on your own. Okay, so I just want to say, don't panic in a moment. Don't scream. Don't holler. Don't anything like that. Be strong. Because when you start screaming, you start kicking up your feet. And unless you have no other choice, of course, scream. Of course, scream. But, you know, if you know it's someone that, you know, it's better that you don't scream. Sometimes you have to manipulate and use your consciousness and your mind. Okay? Anyway, I told this story. I'm not going to look at the messages right now because my motor control needs to go, and this message went on a lot longer than what it needs to, and he has to go home. This is the latest that I've had him out in a very long time. This is the latest that I've had him afuera mucho tiempo conmigo. He's like, yes, Cerise. And he doesn't even understand English. He has no clue what I'm talking about. But, you know, I really just wanted to share this with you guys. You know, I'll tell this story again. If you guys have any questions, let me know. But, you know, when I was younger, I did go through a lot, living on my own with my daughter as a single mom, and being a teenager living on my own. I have a lot of stories like this, and I've done a lot of growing. And I think that's what, you know, prompted me to be able to come here alone. And now that my children are grown and I still live here alone, and being able to be strong enough to live where I live and alone, you know. So I just want to say, God bless you guys. I'm sorry I'm not looking at the messages. It's just I do got to go. I love you. Thank you so much for listening. That's my true story of whatever. I will write it one day, but it's not my only story. I experienced a couple of more. And I'm laughing because it's over and it's done with. And sometimes we have to go through that stuff in life in order to learn and live. If you're going through anything right now that is upsetting you, that's questioning you, you're with a man or a woman that is not treating you right, or something is going on in your world, seek help. Help is out there. And if you are here in the Dominican Republic, contact me because I can definitely help you. And I have a lot of people that will help you. And you don't have to do anything except call a number and they will be there. Like that song, I'll be there. Just call my name and I'll be there. All right, guys. Mwah. I love you.